Hi everyone, this is Jamie. I was actually thinking to do something more light, but my partner reminded me of Buck Angel's existence, so let's discuss Buck Angel. So, I know this sounds weird, but I do understand that the internet is very forgetful about certain, I guess, ex-celebrities or people who were known in the past or who are past their prime. And the internet also has a very sort of short memory on turfs, on different sort of hate speech and etc. And people tend to blow things out of proportion, and then they forget, or things which should have been taken much more seriously get forgotten. So, like, for instance, when I mention Mitch Fest or the different impacts that Leslie Feinberg has done, which are very damaging and still seen in our trans man community. You know, no one gives a fuck, so I'm here to at least whimper a bit about that, because I feel like not everyone is listening, but, you know, I'll still complain. So, Buck Angel. I remember Buck Angel being, like, people always talk about Chaz Bono, but I feel like Buck Angel was a bit more known to me. He was pretty much a big figure in gay porn at the time. He was the first trans man who wasn't gay porn. And he was kind of very vocal about trans rights, and he was in various documentaries. He was in Laura James Gray's documentary as well. I remember representing trans guys. And in general, like, when you talk about trans people, people always mention trans women, and the trans guy who did always interview in these situations was Buck Angel. So, kind of showing up and actively fighting trans women all of a sudden feels very nonsensical right now, but this is happening. So I just remember that even just like listening to his interviews was always interesting to me. I mean, before he went crazy, sorry. And I remember, and before he started, so I remember he started going crazy over the fact that he was against phalloplasty because he said it was a form of mutilation, which is very sort of TERF language and very sort of radical feminist language and transphobic language. I mean, it's not a mutilation. I mean, it's literally a surgery which helps people survive. And a lot of people and a lot of trans men, I do understand, say that top surgery is the one that is the most impactful, and some decide to stop after top surgery. And that's fine by me. I personally already, like, signed everything to get all the surgeries I need, so, which are pretty much everything, So I do find it a bit troublesome that people tend to police specifically which surgeries you're going through, which you're getting, which you're not, which ones are good, which ones are not. And already when he started going, like, very big about phalloplasty being a mistake and mutilation, I already was, okay, this isn't good. So I already stopped looking at him as someone aspiring, and I can't say I admired him, but I couldn't exactly relate to him. At the time, I wasn't really going to the gym. I wasn't exactly into working out as much, and he was just a figure. Like, yeah, he was a trans guy. I could relate to his trans experiences, and I'm thankful that, you know, he did what he had to do, but now he just needs to move on and disappear. Like, poof, and that's it, you know? So when he started, and then he went on by saying that he's a trans man with a female past, with female experiences, And I was like, well, that's not exactly what you ever said before, but I was like, okay, because I'm used to different experiences. I'm used to different people talking about their experiences. And the more I see this thing is that the more we accept our own bodies and the more we feel more comfortable, the more we stray from the community. And in a way, because we don't understand how much dysphoria is a person feeling firsthand at a lower stage than we are, or with more dysphoria. So obviously, when people talk about testosterone, or like passing before testosterone, or bathroom issues, because I have never ever had problems with bathrooms. So I am very lucky in that aspect. And when people talk about different things, I can only relate to the fact, like, yeah, sometimes I get scared. But I've never actually had anyone assault me in a bathroom or tell me that this isn't the bathroom I should be in. So, because of that, sometimes I obviously I don't get the best advice, because it won't be the because I simply never went through that, right? So I do understand that obviously he's transitions God knows how many years ago. He's been on sea for many, many years. So obviously things can get foggy, let's be real. And specifically for him, and the fact that he's addressing this right now, and how he's harming the community, I understand that he went through all these things so long ago that it's just impossible for him to relate to these things at this point. And I'm just being kind to him just because I understand that he helped me to an extent, just like he helped other trans guys. Because back at the time, there was literally no one. So recently he did a statement. Let's call it this. Now, it was an open letter towards the trans community, specifically trans guys, from what I understood, to embrace something, which we're not, and to call action upon the facts that lesbian trans women are problematic. And I'm very sorry to like address this, to talk about this, but I am truly, I have to quote. I'll link the article below for the Wayback Machine, because it got, obviously, I guess, a fair amount of slander. It got taken down. But the thing is, on the internet, you can't really destroy everything. That's just the way it is. But at the same time, you can destroy other things. So it really depends on your level of how much you want to destroy it, how willing you are to go to mask things. So apparently, they didn't think of the Wayback Machine. But a lot of people do, and they delete it. But on the Wayback Machine, you have the article, unfortunately, still. So I guess let's talk about the open letter. So he wants to say that the true trans people are of the homosexual type. So basically, straight trans people. Yeah, I'm gonna use the proper words. But he says that they are the homosexual ones. So basically what he's doing is saying that because you were born with a certain pair of genitalia, which you've had, or you have right now. Well, you have as a stretch, but because it changes due to HRT, but okay. Or maybe you're pre-everything. Anyway. So, that is homosexual. I know. I'm also struggling. So basically, you're not straight according to him, you're homosexual. And as far as I checked, he is bisexual on his wiki page, and he has stated numerous times he's bisexual. And this is a first. I mean, of course, if he wants to come out as a straight trans gay, please feel free. But coming out as a lesbian, when you're a binary guy and you say that this is specifically about binary guys, I'm not exactly catching the drift here. Well, I understand he's a bigot, but, you know. Then he talks very specifically about vagina obsession, and that it inflicts only heterosexual men. So throughout the entire thing, he keeps calling trans lesbians heterosexual men, which is already very transphobic, very triggering. And listen, I'm just reading this article, and I'm just like, what is this mess? So he quotes only one doctor. It's like, okay, fine, I'm not exactly quoting doctors either, like from the top of my head, but I mean, when you sit down to write an article, you've got to have more than one doctor to refer to, right? Right. I mean, who am I to say? So he says that lesbian trans women are the ones which silence trans men, and I really want to know, since when have they been silencing us? And I was reading through comment sections on Reddit, and this is something which I read and I remembered as well. Basically, we can't forget that Buck Angel's first wife, I think it was his first wife. Yeah, because he has a second one as well. So one of his ex-wives is now with Lana Wachowski, who is, as everyone knows, a trans woman. So I was like, ooh, so that's why you don't like trans women, sweetie. Okay, okay. So he attacks trans women for simply breathing at this point. I'm just skimming through the article. So yeah, he keeps referring to himself and other trans guys as the true trans people, because they are transgender people, homosexual gender dysphoria. So meaning, and he went to Classify Bet on Twitter saying that he will never be a biological male, he will never be male, but he just chooses to go on hormones to feel better. And he never actually addresses his top surgery. And it's like, well, how about if you go back in time and we take away your hormones and we take away your surgery, and you tell me how not life-changing that will be for you? And he says that it's not a big deal, it's just a choice, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's pretty much, it reads just like a massive conspiracy theory, and I was thinking if I should read it out, but I just don't want to at this point. I'll just link it below. And he also states that he wants trans women with homosexual gender dysphoria to join, so basically straight trans women to join. And there's no mention of bisexuality, there's no mention of other sexualities, and they originally included a photo of the trans men who were open to sign this article, and they all looked pretty heavy on tea for a few years, if you ask me, obviously. And this is what also made me highly uncomfortable. So, I'm a gay trans guy. I pretty much have been with dudes my entire life, or with non-binary people. I have never really been with a woman. I never had interest that much. Sure, I had some flings, but I never really went to massive extents when I was growing up. And as far as I see, I'm very much real. I could relate to even his experiences. I have been diagnosed by numerous doctors with gender dysphoria. I have letters from qualified professionals which state that I am trans. I have gone through different procedures to make sure that I am trans, because such is the way things go in our world. I don't have Planned Parenthood, which just gives me a signature. I give them a signature and they give me tea without running tests and etc. I had to go through a very, very long, difficult journey to do this. And one of the first things that you ever learn is the fact that, well, you yourself, you learn it from other people. And if Buck Angel bothered to remember a bit of history, there was Lou Sullivan, since we're talking about American laws, I guess, who was a pioneer and who was the first trans person who fucking made risked his life and eventually died of AIDS, and it took him ages to get testosterone, to get the surgeries he needed. And he died very tragically from AIDS, well. And because of him, we don't have to prove that we are straight anymore, and that we can be gay, bi, pan, and Buck Angel himself is bisexual. So this is really infuriating to me. And when I see that trans guys like push this narrative that they look like this, and this is the only way to be trans, or this is one thing to be trans, I just don't understand. Like, how can you be so hateful? How can you think that this is just one way? Like, even if I were to sit down and talk to someone who has very different views of mine, and who would say that, yeah, I have a female past, because that's how I was raised, those were my experiences, it's not something I agree with at all. And I would probably end up in a very disgusting argument, and I'd be very livid if someone referred to me as that. But I would say, if that's how you feel, fine. But why are you inflicting that onto everyone else? And they always say that science is the thing that's backing them up. But is it? Because I just went through all these hoops, and everyone knew that I was gay. I am very, very open about being gay to my doctors, to people who assess me. And not one of them said that you have to be straight. And I just want to say that I also have, like, in Portugal you're required a document from the government which says that you are indeed trans. So I have the said document, which is from the Order of Medics. So basically it's pretty much a council which decides if I'm trans or not. So you're not a doctor. Who are you to say that my sexuality invalidates my gender identity? And sure, let's play a biology game. So you're saying that science is behind you, then, and all of a sudden that someone's silencing you, that lesbian trans women are a threat. But I really want to know this. If they're a threat, why didn't you show the evidence in your letter? Why didn't you do resources? Why did you link only one doctor? If you're trying to do a fucking proper paper. So, listen, this is just a bunch of bullshit, which he just typed up with his dear, straight trans dudes, who just pretty much thought that phalloplasty wasn't for them and decided to spit on everyone else. So yeah. I mean, I'll just link the trash below. To wrap it up, it's just turf ideology. He's just doing this to please someone, to please himself even. And it's not even about staying relevant, it's about being hateful about something. So when you spit these things, there is something that is bothering you. You're clearly speaking out because it's something that is bothering you. So why don't you open up and tell us what actually fucking happens instead of blaming innocent people? Like, you want to have a discussion? Sure. Pick any YouTuber. Pick anyone. Have a discussion. Have a discussion with someone else instead of writing this paper. Or if you want to do a paper, fucking cite things. But he won't. It's taken down, he's arguing with people, and that's it. So, what's new, you know? So yeah, hopefully this will stay out. But I just wanted to raise awareness because obviously this was circulating around and this shouldn't be. We shouldn't be dividing ourselves further. There's already a bad rap for trans guys. And listen, I'm just pissed off. Like, sometimes I guess, you know what, since he's having a go with gay trans guys, I also have, at this point, beef, like, with him. Like, what the fuck is he doing? Anyway. He has beef with me, I have beef with him. That's about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please like, please subscribe, because that helps.